Hi, I am Dr. Venkatesh. I'm a consultant neonatologist. Today I am teaching E by A ratio, one of the important echo parameters used in the assessment of hemodynamically significant patent ductus arteriosus. This early to late transmitral inflow velocity ratio is measured using the footprint probe with a frequency of 4 to 12. The probe is placed in the apical area with the marker facing to the left. You get 4-chamber view. Identify the mitral valve and the pulse wave Doppler gate is kept just below the annulus of mitral valve. You get this E by A wave. This E by A wave is the positive deflection you see. The E stands for early phase filling of left ventricle, not requiring atrial contraction. The late phase filling of left ventricle requires the atrial contraction. That stands for A. In neonates, 3 important scenarios one should understand before the interpretation. The term neonates, because the diastolic function is well developed, majority of the blood enters into the left ventricle in the early phase. Only a small amount requires the left atrial contraction to push the blood into the left ventricle. So, the E by A ratio is more than 1. In preterm neonates without hemodynamically significant ductus arteriosus, because of the inherent decrease in the function of diastole, much of the blood will not enter into the left ventricle in the early phase. The flow happens in the later part or later phase, where the atrium contracts to push the blood into the left ventricle. That is why the E by A ratio is less than 1. In preterm neonates with hemodynamically significant ductus arteriosus, because of the significant ductus, the blood flow into the left atrium is very high. This blood, the pressure in the left atrium, will impinge upon the mitral valve, which opens in the early phase. That's how you will find in the early phase the blood that enters into the left ventricle is on the higher side compared to the later phase of filling. So, the E by A ratio in preterm neonates with hemodynamically significant ductus arteriosus is more than 1. Friends, sometimes this E by A ratio is very difficult to delineate because of the rapid heart rate that is seen in neonates. This will also help in the periodic assessment of ductus arteriosus, whether it is getting closed on medications, and also to understand the hemodynamic changes that happens in babies on treatment, both medical and surgical. Thank you so much.